At the height of his success, Adrian Cole stood on the balcony of his penthouse, watching the sunrise paint the city gold. To the world, he was a billionaire genius. But behind the cold glass reflection staring back at him was a man quietly drowning. Every morning, he told himself he was fine. Every morning, the lie got heavier. Inside the company halls, people admired his strength, his discipline, his brilliance. But his assistant was the first to see it. The way his hands trembled, the way his eyes dimmed, the way the weight of a billion-dollar deal crushed him from the inside. Still, he pushed, smiling in meetings, signing papers, pretending everything was under control. The day before the biggest contract of his life, everything looked perfect. The boardroom gleamed, the documents were neatly arranged, pens aligned like weapons. Investors waited, cameras prepared, and the world leaned in to watch him break another record. But the next morning, his office sat silent. His coffee was untouched, his computer was still on, and his chair, the throne of a man who conquered industries, was empty. Down in the parking garage, security found his luxury car, keys on the seat, wallet untouched, no signs of struggle, no explanation. Only one question echoed through the skyscraper. Where did Adrian Cole go? As the city panicked, Adrian walked alone through his childhood neighborhood, a place he'd buried under years of ambition. The cracked sidewalks, the rusted fences, the echoes of a life he tried to forget, all of it hit him harder than any business failure ever could. The kids playing in the streets reminded him of the boy he once was, a boy who dreamed big, and a boy who never thought he'd lose himself on the climb to the top. Then he saw it, the little shop at the corner, the dusty sign, the old wooden door, the place he went to when he had nothing, Mama Rena's store. Inside, the woman from his childhood struggled with heavy crates, still working despite her age. Adrian watched for a moment, helplessly remembering how she once kept him fed with small acts of kindness. He stepped forward, offering his help, and for the first time in years, he felt human again. Mama Rena looked at him closely, squinting at the face that had once belonged to a skinny little boy with big dreams. When she finally recognized him, her eyes softened with warmth. And as they sat together in that tiny shop, surrounded by dusty shelves and fading memories, she reminded him of something he had forgotten. Success means nothing if you lose yourself along the way. Her words cracked something inside him. And before he could stand, the world around him blurred. His heart raced, his body shook. The stress he had ignored for years finally struck. Mama Rena caught him as he collapsed, shouting for help. Ambulance lights flickered against the old neighborhood walls as Adrian's body gave up on him. In the hospital, wires and monitors surrounded him. For the first time in his life, he wasn't in control. When he woke up, the doctor didn't talk about business, deadlines, or power. He talked about exhaustion, breakdown, the human body reaching its limit. And Adrian realized the truth. He hadn't disappeared from the world. He had disappeared from himself. That night, in the quiet of the hospital room, Adrian stared at the ceiling and asked a question he hadn't asked in decades. What do I really want? Meanwhile, the boardroom erupted into chaos. Investors argued, executives panicked. The unsigned billion-dollar contract sat like a ghost on the table, haunting the company that depended on him for everything. Reporters swarmed the streets with bold headlines. CEO vanishes hours before historic deal. Days later, Adrian walked back into the lobby, not in a suit, not in polished shoes, but in simple clothes. Calm, whole, different. Reporters rushed him, cameras flashed, the world demanded answers. He entered the boardroom quietly, picked up the billion-dollar contract, and looked every executive in the eye. Then he said the words no one expected. I choose myself first. Gasps filled the room. Silence followed. Adrian stepped out of the skyscraper, the weight of years falling off his shoulders. He didn't run, he didn't hide, he simply walked. Into the sunlight, into his peace, into a life he was finally ready to live. By sunset, he was in a quiet park, where the wind was gentle, the world was still, and for the first time in as long as he could remember, Adrian Cole breathed freely. Because sometimes disappearing isn't running away. Sometimes it's the only way to return to who you truly are.